it's Lisa Rothman, the founder of StopFamilyConflict.com, with another collaboration tip. And I'm doing these to support you in not falling into some common pitfalls I see people ending up in. So this tip: if somebody tells you something is a big deal to them, believe them. Okay, this is important for two reasons. The first reason is that if you are truly collaborating with someone, you're going to want to integrate their needs and your needs. And if you don't take their needs, therefore their experience and the needs that are feeding into that experience seriously, you're not going to integrate that need, and then their need's going to go unmet, and likely whatever new strategy you come up with is going to fall apart. Okay, and there's a second reason that you want to believe someone when they say that something is a big deal to them. And it's illustrated by this story. So I did a workshop recently at a school, and a mom came up to me afterwards, and she told me that her older son is no longer speaking to her. He's in his 20s, and she can't understand why. And I said, well, what is he saying? And she says, he tells me that I don't care about him. And that is ridiculous. I care about him and have cared about him so much. And I don't know where he gets it. And she's furious that he's not feeling the care. And she's utterly confused and in anguish. And she doesn't know what a next step would be, because he's actually at this point, he's refusing to talk to her. And so I asked her, so why does what happened that he's telling you, what are the incidents that he's telling you that he has a sense that you don't care about him? And she said, well, they're just all so unreasonable and unsubstantiated and innocuous. And so I asked her, if something was really important to her, and when she told the other person about it, she was told, that what you're upset about is just utterly innocuous. I asked her if she'd feel cared for, and she said she wouldn't. And so she then was starting to connect the dots about how her son had come to the conclusion that she didn't care about him. And what a tragedy, because she did. So I want to talk about why it can be hard to believe people and what to do to deal with those difficulties. Because everybody has something that it's difficult to believe that the other person is that upset about. This happens to me as well. Okay, so I think there are a few reasons why it's difficult. Reason number one is if someone is experiencing a negative impact that we don't understand, it's probably because they've got different values, different things. They see the world differently. They're oriented differently than we are. And in terms of how we see the world, everything is so clear. But how they see the world, it's like up is down and down is up. And so we just can't imagine that this would be such a big deal. And so in a situation from my own life, I am incorrigibly late for things. And this really, really bothered my older son. To the point of, he would just be furious. And part of me, it was like, someone shows up a few minutes late for me, like, I don't care, I'm doing something, whatever. So it was hard for me to even to understand, this is a big deal for him, because I just didn't get it. Okay. Then coming on the heels of that then is, I might think, okay, this isn't a big deal for me being a few minutes late. It's probably not a big deal for a whole lot of other people out there. I'm concerned about what this means for my son and his future if he gets this worked up about something that I experience as a little thing that a lot of other people experience as a little thing. Yikes, is this going to make it difficult for him to navigate the world? And if I then meet him where he is at with what his values are and what's important to him, am I then doing him a disservice? Oh, I wouldn't want that. So maybe it's best to diminish what he's saying and dismiss it as not a big deal so that he can sort of toughen up somehow and, have perspective. Okay. And then the third reason that I've found that it can be difficult to meet someone where they are at if we don't think it's a big deal is because if we really enter their world and start experiencing, even though we wouldn't have had this impact if it had happened to us, but we really sit with the negative impact that what our actions have had on them, maybe over the course of years. And now we start thinking about this mom I was speaking with, whose son is in his 20s now, and all those times that she has dismissed his concerns as being inconsequential and unreasonable and unsubstantiated and innocuous. Well, and all the times, all those years that he's interpreted that as her not caring for him, and how lonely that must have felt for him, how alarmed and alone he felt that here he was so upset in response to something his mother had done, and as if that wasn't hard enough, she then was also denying, not believing him when he says that what's happening is really difficult. Now we have the layers. Well, that kind of grief, I can see why someone would want to avoid feeling it. And as I worked with her and the tears were rolling down her face, it was no small thing. And she said, I don't know if I can face this. And I said, I could imagine it would be really difficult. Okay, so what to do when something is a big deal to someone and it is not a big deal to you at all? Okay, well, for starters, give yourself empathy. Like, oh God, I was just a few minutes late. What is the big deal? I've got so much going on. Like, it's so frustrating to me that this thing that I find so difficult to do is he's saying it's a big deal, and it wouldn't be a big deal to me, but it's a big deal to him. Oh, this mismatch is painful. Oh, I wish my child saw it as not a big deal either. Then everything would be so easy. But that's not the case. And this is a big deal to him. And so I'm going to sit with, wow, I left him hanging again. Ugh. This is something that I really need to work on. Understand, why am I always leaving late for things? And to tell him, I got some work to do. Yeah. Okay, so collaboration tip here. If someone tells you something's a big deal, believe them. All right. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and share it with others. And perhaps get yourself a conflict prevention jumpstart kit, which has all sorts of strategies. Or you could even come to one of the conflict repair cafes that I am doing, and you can find out all the information about those in the description to this video. All right. Bye for now.